Genocide. That's a word that's been used to describe the atrocities of World War II, what was committed on the Jewish people. Stockholm Syndrome. The people that were beaten, starved, they adopt the ways of their captors, of their torturers, and do it to other people. This is what happens with pedophiles. Most of them were abused as children. The reason that I'm bringing all of this up is the state of Israel is a criminal state. They are committing genocide to the Palestinians. Now, I wonder how many generations Stockholm Syndrome stays with someone. Many of their parents, grandparents suffered it, but a lot of the state of Israel has been made up of American Jews, people who may have heard the stories of the camps. Now, I know the stories of the camps very well. My mom and dad got divorced when I was less than 2 years old. My mom remarried a Holocaust survivor. He told lots of stories. I remember him telling me all about this drunken person who took a bunch of them away to work in a factory. He talked about him being a drunk, a womanizer. It wasn't until years later I found out that this person was Schindler. Both of his parents were killed in Auschwitz. I understand that, Stockholm Syndrome is a horrible thing, that you need help when you have it. You need to see shrinks. You need to deal with it. He never did. He himself was just as bad as the Nazis that killed his parents. He was a crazy man, never recovered. I see the state of Israel, and I see what they're doing to the Palestinians, how they're starving them. It reminds me of the stories that he talked about, how when he was off of the list, because the Schindler's List didn't run the whole length of the war, he was back in the camps and he was starved. They were fed sawdust soup, a million in a bunk. He was around 6 feet, 6'1", and when he left the camp, he was less than 70 pounds. He looked like a walking skeleton. He also talked about the stupid soldiers and what they did. When the camp got liberated, they fed them, they killed a cow from a farmer and made soup. And many of the inmates that were in the concentration camp died of diarrhea because their bodies were not able to digest the food. This is what's going on in Palestine. This is what's going on with the Palestinians. But it's even more insidious than that. Aid is coming, but Israel is stopping the aid trucks. They're inspecting them. They're saying, oh, this truck has tent poles made out of aluminum. They can be turned into bombs. They're turning the trucks away. And what's even worse than that, the reason I say most, if not all, of the state is responsible, they've set up viewing posts with binoculars that people can drop coins in, and watch the carnage that's going on to the Palestinians. They've put vending machines in so people, if they get thirsty, can have something to drink. Meanwhile, children, Palestinian children, are dying, and yet they're just watching, making sport out of it. At least the Germans, the Nazis, had the good sense to hide it so people couldn't see what was going on. They could smell the furnaces, the sweet smell of flesh burning, but they couldn't see. In Israel, they've made sport out of it, where people go and watch the carnage of the Palestinians. This is beyond reproach. Now, you can say, well, how do you know this is going on? I've seen reports. There was an American GI who served in Desert Storm, who saw the Taliban, saw what was going on in Iraq, everything. And he said that this is worse than what was being done by them. Someone who actually saw what was going on. Starving people are being shot at by the Israeli forces when they're going for aid. A car driving away from that was shot at by a tank, blown up. Children are dying. And people in Israel are making sport like it's a wrestling sport, like it's a baseball game. Watch the poor Palestinians die. Ha ha ha. That's insidious. That's criminal. I believe that any aid that's given to the state of Israel should stop. I believe that organizations like the Pioneer Women in the United States should be categorized right now as a terrorist organization, and all of their funds should be seized. I know this sounds crazy, but Israel should not get a single weapon, a single dime. No one should do business with them around the world. They should be cut off. They should be abandoned. It is the same as the camps. The only thing, at least in the camps, they had gas chambers to kill people right away. They'd work people to death. In Auschwitz, what the gate said was, to work is to live. They're not even doing that. They're just committing genocide. Can you blame it on Stockholm Syndrome? I don't know. They want to expand their country. We sent arms to the Ukrainians to keep Russia from expanding, taking their territory. Yet we're sending arms to Israel so Israel can expand its territory, take over Gaza, take over this, expand, expand, expand. The funny thing about it is that most of the people there are not even native to the country. By that I mean when you look at them, you can tell they're of European descent. The reason I say that, I grew up with a family, the Masudas. They were Egyptian Jews. They had dark skin. They looked like the Palestinians. They had curly hair, brown eyes. They were people of the land, people whose ancestors were not converts, people who were from the original Jewish stock. They were in Egypt at the time. And they came to the United States, Doctor and his wife. They had 2 American children. His oldest son went into the service. All I can say is what the Israelis are doing is genocide. It's a war crime. All aid should be cut off to Israel. All weapons should be cut off. They deserve to be blown up off the map, what they're doing, the genocide. They need to have trials like they did after World War II in The Hague. War crimes. They need to try not only the leaders of Israel, but anyone that was in the army that participated in this genocide. They need to try them all. It is a terrorist nation. All I can say is that I'm disgusted that I was born Jewish. I am so glad that I converted to Catholicism. When I see these atrocities that they're doing, if I didn't convert 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, I would have converted now. I don't know how anyone can remain Jewish after seeing what's going on. They are crimes against humanity, and most of the people in Israel are complicit. To go and view the carnage like it's a sport, it kind of reminds me of Hunger Games, where you watch people fight to the death. Sick and depraved. All I can say is that this is a sin. The Germans have repented. Will the Israelis ever repent? I don't think so. They're disgusting. That's all I can say. They're just so disgusting. All aid needs to be cut off in munitions to the Israeli government. There needs to be an embargo. No foodstuffs need to come into Israel. Like we did with Berlin, there needs to be airdrops of food to the Palestinians. It really doesn't even matter if some of it gets to Hamas. It needs to be massive airdrops. And if anyone tries to shoot down the planes, they need to be accompanied by stealth bombers. And the United States needs to strafe and bomb Israel if they do that. The first bomb should be dropped on the Knesset. They need to learn that their actions, that their genocide has consequences. I know it seems harsh what I'm saying, but what they're doing are crimes against humanity, and they need to be punished for it.